Hello. Itchy schnoz. Okay. Just before I check out of my hotel and go for a mooch in this terrible lit space that I'm in currently. It's very nice lighting for a hotel room. It's like, soft and moody, sexy. Not super beneficial for doing stuff like live streams though, sadly. However, we struggle through first world problems. So, a couple of days ago, I had a little revelation about an identity that had been really keeping me in a place of feeling very, keeping me from really jumping in, diving into certain areas in my life. And one of those things has always been the fact that I have always kind of low-key identified as a bit of a lone wolf. And part of this is probably because I am single definition in human design, so I can just do shit on my own, and I'm also like an earth sign, Taurus, so I'm very much like blinkers on, just get shit done, don't really need anybody. I just don't really need anybody, like I'm quite happy on my own. But what that does mean is that I've identified with this, like lone wolf. And if you are somebody who has identified with this idea of being like a lone wolf or like a bit of a loner, then I would love to know. Hey Kathy, nice to see you, my love. So yeah, I'd love to know if you are someone who identifies as a lone wolf or has ever, or like someone who's just like very, very independent, does things on their own. I don't really need anybody and I just get shit done. And it came up the other day for me when I was talking in Voxer with my mentor. Like I just kind of dropped it in, and as soon as I had written it down, I looked at it and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So one of the symptoms of identifying as a lone wolf is often that, yes, we can do everything on our own. Maybe we can, definitely can eventually get shit done on our own. But getting shit done isn't really the goal for me anymore. My goal and my aim in life is to create, enormous amounts of wealth and success and abundance in my life in all areas with joy, satisfaction, alignment, feeling really like, I was saying this to my friend Michelle last night. We were having dinner and I was saying to her, one of the things I worked on over the summer with this intimacy coach was, as a sacral being, the sacral generates life force energy and is very like sensual, very sexual. And that doesn't mean that you have to be a sensuality coach or like, be getting your vagina out online every 5 minutes. But it is about, what is sensuality? And I touched on this in one of my live streams a few weeks ago about sensuality is actually like using the senses. And as sacral beings, if we're not embodying like the juiciness of life, if we're not allowing ourselves to actually be like turned on by life, and I don't mean that means that you just want to fuck everything that moves, although you might, like, more power to you, whatever is your vibe, like live your life. But it's like really this idea of like, like that feeling in the body of like, that feels like, wow, yeah, like, I really want to do that. It could be like eat that chocolate or like go for that beautiful walk in nature or like have that, hang out with a friend or go train at the gym. Like, oh yeah, that feels really good to think about doing that. And I started to realize that in the summer, that this idea of like not just being turned on by life, but being witnessed in that was very confronting for me. And I said to my intimacy coach, who I worked with for like 3 months, I actually said to her, I was like, I've got some shit around not just being turned on like by life. I was just talking about life, not even sexually, just like by life, but being seen in that way. I felt like so much shame and I felt like embarrassed, and like people would look at me and be like, wow, she's so overtly sexual. Like she's always just got like this sex energy about her. Like, why is she always like that? And I just had all these stories in my head about what that really meant. And so I think for me, when I look at this lone wolf piece, what I realize is, because a lot of my process of like sorting stuff out in my head or sorting stuff out in my business or in my life, like I had kind of taken away my, like the juiciness of my life, and I'd started to just make life about doing things. And that's why the lone wolf really served me, because it was just about like, here's the problem, get it done, work through it, come out the other side, boom, done. But really, when I started to understand that I'd like decoded all this shit and diffused and repatterned all the stuff around like sexuality and about being a sacral being, just like being really juicy. And you don't have to be sacral, by the way. You don't have to be like a sacral authority or even a generator type in order to feel that. Like if you have an open sacral in human design, you amplify that energy for like in other people. So, you know, you are gonna feel a lot of it, and that's fine. Like that's lovely. Enjoy it, like feel it and be in it, and just fucking enjoy it, right? But for me personally, speaking from personal experience, I noticed that when I shifted my focus from just needing to get shit done to like, oh, I actually really want to enjoy my life now. Hey, Maureen, loving this, my clearing intensive ladies. Hey, girls. When I shifted my focus away from like doing, just like ticking things off list and like getting shit done, from that to like, I really want to feel like turned on, juiced up by my life. Like I want life to feel like, I want it all to feel like fucking juicy and like bring it the fuck on, you know, like sass and expression, and I want life to feel like, oh, so fucking good. And then I realized that because that was my new goal, yes, I still want to make a lot of money. Yes, I want to impact millions of lives. Yes, I still want to have, you know, all eyes on me and be like the star in my own show. And, you know, like, as in like, it was the show of my life. I still want all of those things, all of those like goals, if you will. But the way in which I create that for myself and the moments in between, the moments like the living of your life, if that isn't a priority for you, then you're probably really fucking miserable, unsatisfied, distracting yourself with bullshit that you don't need to do, getting caught like down the rabbit hole of your own self-destructive thoughts and sabotages, and wondering why you can't dig yourself out of the hole that you've created for yourself. Because this lone wolf shit keeps like coming and biting you on the ass. Now look, I'm not the kind of person who's like, oh yay, sisterhood. I love that when I bring a group of people together in my offerings, we create community and we support each other and celebrate, and you know, but everyone in those communities still has like independence. And I feel like I do attract a lot of like lone wolf people because I have that in me. And I know that it's been something I've identified with for so long that the idea of dissolving that identity completely freaks me the fuck out. So in Powerhouse, we're looking at these threads, we're looking at these pieces, you know, the confidence to connect with people, like to really connect with people, the confidence to live your life out loud in a way where if you want to feel really fucking juiced up and passionate about your life and passionate about your work, passionate about selling your work, if you want to be able to stand in your power and not feel like by like being a powerhouse you have to be like cold or cut off or lone wolf or like just get shit done, just get to the goal, just make shit happen, and then I can enjoy myself. Once I've hit that goal, then I'll enjoy myself. It's like, that isn't life. Or maybe it is life, but it's not, certainly not living. And so this is where I started to really understand that by decoding and repatterning my relationship with the identity of the lone wolf and understanding that I can still hold that frequency, and I can also hold the frequency of other identities as well. I can choose whether I like this. Actually for me is something I just want to go away and process and like deal with and then come back to the world. but I'm also now able to lean into support when it is offered, when it is available, when I have paid for it, for example. You know, like if I'm working with a mentor, shifting energy, you're welcome. But this idea of, like I was saying, like this idea of going from just identifying as someone who's like very independent, lone wolf, just knuckle down, get shit done, create results, boom, ta-da, you know, that was happening for me for like a couple of years ago, and then throughout the last year or so, from the summer this year where I started doing that intimacy coaching and like working with an intimacy coach and doing that work on my own, I said to her, my goal is to be met by life. That was what my goal was. When she said, you know, what do you really want from this? And I just said to her, I'm fed up of feeling like I have to constantly go out and make shit happen. I'm fed up of feeling like I have to convince the world that what I do is valuable, that I'm valuable. And you know, this is the thing, like this is not about business strategy. This is about who am I at my core. This is about the beliefs and the behavioral patterns that are then triggered by those beliefs. This is like deep inner work that we were decoding around relating. But I said to her, I know that doing this work with you is going to help me grow my business. I know it's going to improve my friendships. It's going to improve my relationships with my family. It's going to improve my relationships with my partner. But it is also going to impact my business, because my business is about relationships. You know, yeah, I help people grow their businesses, be more visible online, feel better in themselves, you know, all this good stuff that I do with people. But ultimately, if I'm unable to really deeply connect with the people who are following me online, if I'm unable to connect with them, and if I feel like I've got to have all these fucking boundaries and like, you know, like all this kind of like, you know, that like powerhouse lone wolf kind of, I've got to cut myself off and be very like, you know, cold around that stuff, like that just feels really shit. And I don't want to have to be that person who is like that. So by doing that work with her, good morning, Chev, welcome to the world. Guten Morgen. So basically, identifying as a lone wolf, there is nothing wrong with that. I still definitely have it running through me for sure. But what I understand now is that when I think about like lone wolf, I think about that more as like a hat I get to put on when I'm just like chilling in my little, you know, hermit mode or whatever. And I'm like, I'm actually fine being on my own. I receive the gifts from that identity of I'm fine being on my own. I'm fine doing stuff by myself. I'm absolutely fine with just like literally being in my own energy, like I have been on Friday, and today I'm in London for the rest of the day till I fly out like 7 o'clock tonight. And I'm, you know, I'm on my own. Like I'm not meeting any friends today or anything. Like I'm literally just mooching around. And there was a time where I couldn't be in, I would have been fine maybe being on my own, but I wouldn't have been able to like go out into London and take myself out for lunch and go shopping and all of that stuff. Like I would have felt really vulnerable. I would have felt like, oh, people are looking at me thinking I'm weird, or they think, you know, like I'd have felt very vulnerable, very unsafe. You know, all sorts of things. And I noticed yesterday, like before I met my friend, I had a few hours in the morning and I just put my leather jacket on, put my mascara on, off I went. And I had a great time. I just put my headphones in and I just like strutted around Regent Street, just like really being in the energy, my own energy, even though I was surrounded by people. And we did a bit of work on this in the clearing intensive last week. You know, this idea that you can be surrounded by people, there can be things happening around you, but when you have cultivated a space of safety and just like groundedness in your own being, whatever is happening around you, you can always come back to that central pillar within yourself. And then in Powerhouse, we're taking it even further into this idea of like really cultivating unshakable confidence, because so many people get stuck in like, what does everyone think of me? I've got to make sure everyone else is happy before I'm allowed to live my life. And for me, the Powerhouse isn't about that. The Powerhouse is about like a deep, just like a deep grounding in the sensuality of life, and being able to be like the lighthouse, you know, like radiate out, be the beacon of what it means to you to be in your power. What you think is powerful, what you feel is confident, it doesn't actually matter what anyone else thinks about that. That's what confidence is, right? It's the ability to stand in the certainty and in the grounded, the rootedness of your own frequency, and know that whatever's going on around you, you can navigate it, that you are resourceful, you're resilient, you've survived everything that's happened to you up until now, and you've learned from it all if you choose to. So we're going to be going in on releasing this people pleaser identity in Powerhouse, because one of the biggest pieces for me when I started doing that intimacy work, and as I've really stepped into, you know, owning my full power and my radiance, and as I continue to just like keep turning up the volume on that, which I will continue to keep doing, like the glow up is real, people. You know, there was a time where I'm confident without makeup, for example, but there would have been a time, even like a few months ago, where I'd have been in London on my own and I wouldn't have put makeup on because I would want to kind of be invisible, hide. Whereas yesterday I was like, fuck it. If I really want to have the level of success that I say I want to have, then it is important for me to be okay with like all eyes on me, but not just the eyes that are going to like me, not just the eyes that are going to understand me. I get to be confident enough in who I am and in my own sovereignty and in my own heart and intentions, that even if people see me and misunderstand me or are triggered by me or just don't fucking like me or think, who the fuck does that bitch think she is, I get to be okay with that because I'm grounded in who I am. And this is the kind of work that we're going to be doing in Powerhouse, this like deep embodiment work around real confidence, true confidence, confidence that is so rooted in the core of your being that you can tap back into at any fucking time. And we will be doing 4 live calls in there so that I can do clearing with you. And I am already aware of, we're going to be actually like clearing certain identity pieces, because this is so important for you to understand that you can pick and choose who the fuck you are in any given moment. And this doesn't mean that you chameleon yourself to make other people feel better. You know, as the people pleaser, we tend to morph and chameleon ourselves so that other people will feel safe around us, or so that we can create and cultivate a space for them to feel okay or get what they need from us. What I'm talking about is flipping the switch on that and actually starting to use that ability to, you know, to read energy, to understand and to be able to feel all of those things, but still stand in the sovereignty of who you are at your core. You don't have to change for any fucker, but if you want to, you can. So for me, it's about freedom, and it's about confidence, and it's about resilience, and knowing that what other people think of you is none of your fucking business, and really cultivating the resilience to stand in that as a truth, because that is, the people pleaser can't do that. When we're playing the people pleaser and playing the good girl, when we think we've got to make sure everyone else is okay before we attend to our own needs, in Powerhouse, that is it. From the day you fucking join, you are making a declaration. You are telling the world and yourself, I'm done with that. And I know that that can feel scary, because that was the work I was doing over the fucking summer. But this is the work. This is where shit really starts to happen. This is where you start to get traction in your life and in your business. This is where you start to get traction in your relationships and in, like, you know, truly healing yourself, is where you start to claim this life, this fucking journey, this life for yourself. You cannot do that if you are still, if any part of you is like, oh yeah, but I'm a people pleaser. Not just like, oh, sometimes I have people pleasing tendencies, but I'm aware of it and I like snap myself out of it. If you are someone who at any point says, oh God, I'm such a people pleaser, you are identifying with that. You've claimed it as an identity. And sometimes it's as easy for people to just go, oh, I'm just going to release that. But the thing is, if you don't fully understand all of the hooks that that identity carries with it, the beliefs, the behaviors, the frequency, the emotional triggers, if you don't understand the archetype of the people pleaser, that insidious, sneaky little cunt's going to creep in to your life. And you're not even going to realize until you've given all your energy away, all of your power away. You're sitting on your ass going, fuck, why am I so tired all the time? Because it's so sneaky, so insidious that you don't even notice it happening. And so with my laser beam limiting belief bullshit detector, we're going to go in and we are going to pick out those limiting beliefs, and we're going to repattern them, give you new ways of seeing things. So it is only 10 days, but 10 days with me and my eyeballs on you is a long fucking time, my friends. And you will get, it'll be like 5 days, you'll get 2 days of integration and then another 5 days, right? So it's effectively going to be like a 2-week container, but the work will be 10 days worth of content. 4 of those will be live calls with me, transmission and clearing. The rest are going to be integration tasks. There's going to be deep dive journaling. There's going to be audios. There's going to be meditations, whatever comes through. Once that container is activated, whatever needs to come through will come through. But that is the intention. Releasing the people pleaser, claiming the powerhouse, claiming what it means to be truly embodied in your confidence. Not just playing at it, not just being able to, like, sometimes I can be confident if X, Y, Z, or I'm confident around these people, I feel safe around these people. It's like, no. Life is made in the moments where you reclaim your power, where you choose it over and over again. The moments where it feels hard to choose yourself. The moments where it would be so easy for you to just lean back and go, like collapse in on yourself is the energy that it feels like. It's like, oh, I'm just going to collapse in on myself and away from what I've said that I wanted from my life. No, not on my fucking watch. So if this is a bit of you and you're like, oh, fuck, I think I need to be in there, hit the button, come and join us. We start in January. It's going to be in the first, I think we're going to start in the first week of January. I'm still waiting for the date to fully land. But when it does, you'll be the first people to know, obviously. So if you've got any questions about it, drop me a message below and tag me in the questions. Yeah, have an amazing rest of your day and I'll see you in there. Love you, bye.